We're live. Hello, everybody. I can't help but have the smile on my face that is present because literally one of my favorite authors is joining us tonight. Yes, you.
Me?
Yes,
Yeah.
Sarah. You. And I would point at you, but it just looks like
That's okay. It just looks like you're pointing at yourself. Yeah. Good.
And I am super excited because we're here to celebrate your third book in the series, Send Me the Soul.
Oh my God. It
had
like,
to have dramatic.
It's been so long. It feels like a million years since I started that series. A lot of things have happened. 2020 itself has felt like at least 50 years. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
So ridiculously, yes. Oh, I just want to jump into conversation because I'm moderating this event because I'm selfish and I wanted to get to talk to you, but I should let everyone out there know. I think some of you may know already, but this is my little explanation of Crowdcast for you guys. As many of you have noticed, ye old chat section is off to the right, and that is just where general chat and whatnot happens. And then if you have questions, we already have 17 questions. Keep them coming. But what is awesome is that there is right down below where it says ask a question, is that would imply that is where you can ask questions. And what is super cool is you can vote on questions. So if there's one that all of you are like, you must answer this, it is imperative, then vote on the question and it'll move up. But before I turn it over to your questions, I have some of my own for Sarah.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm excited.
So, I am prepared.
You bought a whole book? Oh no, it's a pad.
Oh no, it's a pad.
Is that technology?
This is not remarkable, but I'm trying to save paper when I don't actually need to use it. So for things where I would write and then just scratch the paper, I'm trying to digitally do it.
I see. Okay, perfect.
It's my conscious effort. Anyways, your book, Send Me Their Souls. That's what we're here to celebrate, and it's a phenomenal series. Like,
thank you.
I know there's lots and lots of love in the comments section, so I think most people have read Bring Me Their Hearts, which is the first one. But if you haven't and you're just here because you've heard me goober on about Sarah or just know she's an awesome human being, it's such a good series and you need to read it. But my first question for you is, how do you know now that the series is over? Are you like, whew, it's done? Or are you like, no, I have so much more to tell, but it's over? I saw that you cried.
That I what? Oh yeah, that I cried a bunch. That I cried literally all of the Dead Sea out of my own two eyeballs. Absolutely. Well, I'm definitely glad it's over because writing a 3-book series means like a lot of expectation. So expectation from other people, obviously, when they read like the first and second book, they're like, oh, I like the first one, but not the second, or oh, I like the second, but not the, like the third. I mean, fingers crossed. But yeah, there's a lot of expectation that goes into writing a trilogy I wasn't expecting. But at the same time, I am 100% like devastated that I have to let go of these characters that I spent 6 years with, like, well, 6 years, 3, 4? No, yeah, 4 years. I think I spent writing and listening to them and like, just hanging out with them in my head. So now I have to let them go. And I'm like, well, where do you go? The trash pile? Like, do you go to a retirement home? I mean, what happens to characters like that? Like I guess in my brain, they just always sort of live there and are, sometimes I'll like wake up and I'll be like, this is what their wedding would be like. Or like, this is how they die of when they're old. You know what I mean? Like really weird, kind of like Simsy. You play The Sims, right? Obviously, where the Sims like walk around.
You're going to laugh. I know conceptually what it is and have seen videos. Okay. I've never played it.
It's like you're playing a dollhouse, but with like little pixel people. And so you can control their lives until they die. Yeah, it's if you've ever played Zoo Tycoon, it's a little like that. Anyway, so they kind of live in my head like The Sims and live out their days. So they're not gone. It's just they're
Oh no. Technical internet difficulties. We will wait until she comes back because this looks just like an internet thing. I'm sure it will come back in a second though. I'm not going to interpretive dance though while we wait because no one needs to see that, even though it is quarantine and it would probably make you laugh at my own embarrassment. But we'll give it just a second and then I will reach out again to her. And I agree. I agree that all of the side stories on Wattpad or Instagram, personal email, no pressure at all. But Cheyenne, if that's how you pronounce your name, I apologize if I'm getting it wrong. But I agree with you. I would totally be down for all of the side stories. Or, just in like future books that come out. Oh, thank you. Yay, we have a Sarah back.
Okay. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry.
It's fine. The internet is the internet, and it's 2020. So,
if it keeps going out, I'll just go into the room where the actual router is. So just give me a sec. But sorry. Anyway, I cried a bunch. I cursed the computer by saying I cried a bunch, and it shut down on me. So there you have it.
Says I can hear you.
Good.
Okay. So, well, I just have to say, like, the characters you create are always amazing. So I would never be able to like let go of them. They'll always be in like my head and heart.
Yeah.
But how is it different? Because this is your second trilogy that you've written. So did it feel different writing a fantasy trilogy versus like a contemporary drama trilogy?
Kind of. I guess I've always read fantasy. So growing up when I was a kid, there weren't very many contemporary YA books. If that makes sense, there was like Maura Pierce, and there was like, I mean, the contemporary YA books I had back in my old person day were like the Babysitter's Club. You know what I mean? Like, and those are good. It's just like those were what we had for contemporary. So I wasn't that interested in contemporary, but fantasy was like, we had ladies who were pretending to be boys so they could go to night school. You know what I mean? We had way more fun in fantasy YA than we ever did in contemporary. So when I finally got around to writing Bring Me Their Hearts, it was like, okay, all of the fantasy I've ever read is going to be a part of this. Like making a giant pizza out of different pieces. It would be like if you're making a pizza out of like different slices. You know what I mean? Like here's the Hawaiian, here's the olive, we're going to see what it's like. It might not be good,
pizza, as they say.
It's still pizza. You know what I mean? So like, of course we're going to eat it. So I was really excited, really super excited to write fantasy. It was really a lot harder than I thought it would be. Especially, I know this is kind of like insider talk. Most of the YA fantasy that's really big right now is like Throne of Glass, right? Or like, what's the other one? Court of Thorns and Roses. And so a lot of the industry really wants to see more of like what Court of Thorns and Roses does or what Throne of Glass does, or not Throne, sorry, Court. Maybe I said Court. So there's not a lot of wiggle room for like what is acceptable in YA fantasy. And so I had to kind of juggle this tightrope of making a fantasy that kind of resembled what the industry wanted while also making it in my own way and like with my own characters and my own heart in it. And so that was really fun, and kind of gave me a guideline where there usually wouldn't really be one. So, yeah.
That's so cool. And that insight, I feel like, is so important because as like a bookseller who reads a lot of like fantasy, I do like that series, but then you can definitely tell when trends are being pushed on authors because you can see. Yeah. You can totally see, but like your book does not feel cookie cutter at all. It doesn't feel like that at all.
I think it's kind of cookie cutter. I mean, it's got a girl with a sword and like a pretty dress, which is great. Yeah, cookie cutter's not bad. Cookie cutters make cookies.
Out that this is true, but she's like a bloody heart cookie, and we'll just put like jam in the heart.
Right.
My next question then is, okay, when you were writing Bring Me Their Hearts, did you know how Send Me Their Souls was going to end? Because like the world explodes and we have the like battles and all these awesome things going on.
Yeah. Spoilers. Ooh.
Yeah, stopping. That's all I'm going to say. There's cool stuff that happens. Read it. But did you know all of the things that were going to happen, or was there anything that changed and or surprised you as you were writing the series?
Actually, yeah, a ton. Because I'm really a pantser, if that makes sense. I don't plan books because the moment I write like a plot or like an outline for how the plot is going to go, I immediately lose interest in the book. I'm like, oh, it's done. I wrote it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, there's a whole synopsis over there. I'm done. I don't need to do anything else. So for me, the moment I write an outline, it's like, oh, okay, we're done in my head. The book doesn't need to be written. So what I do is I never ever outline, and I just constantly pant stuff. So I had no idea how the book would end. I knew kind of, especially when the trees were first mentioned. I think back in the first book, there was like this, I think Yushenria had like a rosary. She has a rosary that looks like a tree. And I was like, well, wouldn't that be cool if like the tree is the reason? Oh, spoilers. The tree is the reason. This is book 2 spoilers, I think. This is book 2 spoilers. So it's been out for a year. If you guys haven't read it, you go buy it. Go buy it. Go read it. Like, what are you doing here? No, I'm just kidding. Everybody's welcome. So when I saw the tree, I was like, well, what if that is... Because Zara is not really fighting any particular villain. There's no particular villain. The villain is the bad choices that she's made, or the good choices that she's made, or the bad choices that other people have made. I think the whole book is kind of, there's not really a concrete villain, because I don't really like concrete villains. And I don't like but I don't like books that involve concrete villains, because it implies that there are people who will always be villains, rather than every person is capable of being a villain if they make the wrong choice, or if they make a choice that hurts other people. And I think it's disingenuous to label like, oh, well, you're the villain of the story forever. It's like, no one's the villain of the story forever if they make better choices, or if even the good guys can become bad guys if they make bad choices. So basically I was like, well, what if Zara's ultimate enemy is not really a particular person or a kingdom? It's herself and her heartlessness, I think. And so the trees being the source of the heartlessness is kind of like, I knew that was going to be like a showdown she would have to have. So yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea except for the trees. And then it sort of all fell into place. The cool thing about me is that I'm not a good writer. I just really like writing characters. I love characters. I love Skins. I love Degrassi. I'm showing my age because Degrassi's old. Skins is old. I just love watching interesting people do stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm too.
Yeah. So yeah.
Someone who loves characters, like characters are what make me fall in love with a book.
For sure. Yeah.
And I think that's why I love your writing so much, is your characters feel so real, and they're funny, and they mess up, and then they can learn and whatnot. It makes me think a lot right now. People talk about it to connect it to the real world, about like the cancel culture stuff with social media. And it's like my roommate and I talk about, and it's like people mess up and they should be held accountable for those, but they should also be able to change and grow and become a better person as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that's such an important, that's such a good point that you made.
Well, you made it really deep. I was just going for like the basic stuff. You just like went to the throat. I love it.
Okay. A more fun, less deep question. Switching gears. Which species and or creature was your favorite to create and write? Because you have such cool ones in this book. I'm like, I'm making you pick a favorite.
Okay. My favorite. Okay. So I really like the Beneathers because, well, okay, there's really only 2. I mean, there's 3-ish, 2-ish. I like all of them, but if I had to pick, it would probably be the Beneathers, but I really think the Soleons are really cool. The Valkyrex are also really cool. I can't see your full name, but it's Bring Me Their Hearts. Valkyrex are really cool. but I really don't like fantasies that are like, oh, it's just people. Or like, oh, it's just people with pointy ears. It's like, I'm like, okay, that's it. That's all you have. You have all of fantasy. You're making an entire world out of your head, out of your imagination, out of everything that modern media is given to you. And you decide that you're going to make people and then people with pointy ears and then be done. It just doesn't.
Beautiful people with pointy ears.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. The fantasies that I grew up on a lot of fantasy books, but I also grew up on a lot of fantasy video games. And the video games I played, it's the best. The ones that I love the most are the ones that have different races and different. The world feels more real and rounded and different. And like, in a weird way, the different like phylogenies that show up in these fantasy games and books make the fantasy world feel realistic. It's really, I mean, that's strange. It's a weird kind of like juxtaposition, especially in media. And so I absolutely love the Beneathers because I was like, I don't want to make dwarves again because everyone and their mother has made dwarves. So, and I don't want to skimp on the elves because as much as I rag on elves, elves are really cool. So I was like, okay, we're going to make elves, but how do we make elves that aren't elves? You know what I'm saying? And the answer is you make them dwarves. You put them underground and you make them dwarves. Like,
it's a circular problem.
So it was like, I was like a moment where I was like, God, I'm a genius. And then I went, God, I'm so just unoriginal. Just like, it was great. It was really good. But I do really love this land. I love the Slan too. They're close to my heart. If anybody's ever played Final Fantasy X, there are these like blue cat people that are called the Ronso. And I saw that and I was like, how can I make those lizards and then also make them like have cool, you know what I mean? Like it was really neat. But
that's a great example of like a world that encompasses so many different kinds of creatures. And I totally agree with you. It's almost like the more diversity you have in species, it's so different from our world. Right. It doesn't feel like you're slapping a magical mask on it. It truly feels like
or the opposite problem can occur where like some people will, I'm not going to name names because they're very good authors. And it's just, there are some people will make like Asian conglomerate equivalents and then be like, that's my different race. You know what I mean? Like, and then I'm going, are you kidding me? Or like, this is the Asian equivalent. And like, this is like the Russian equivalent. And this is like the African equivalent. I'm like, why? You have the entire fantasy world. Like you're relegating these people of color and like to these countries that we're never going to see and like calling it, you know what I mean? Like
it's another form of alienation.
Absolutely, 100%. And it's really weird. But I didn't want to do that either because that was not my jam. So,
well, your jam is amazing because I. Thank
you. Do you put it on toast? What do you put it on? Toast, waffles?
Ooh. Okay, I'm from the South, so biscuits.
Like Pillsbury, like the Pillsbury. Those are so good. Those are really.
They are. I'm not gonna lie, they are delicious. But there's this place called the Loveless Cafe in Tennessee. It has the best biscuits ever, and I would put your jam on those biscuits. It would be also Loveless goes really well title-wise with your book. So
it does absolutely, yeah. I mean, I couldn't. Bring Me Their Hearts was almost heartless, but Marissa Meyer did that I think about 2 years before me, and then my publisher's like, "Hey, maybe don't," and I'm like, "You're right." Yeah. So
I love it a little more though. To be honest, I love your title more than Heartless.
But I wanted to have a punch. I wanted to have the title to like punch people in the face, like grab them. Not like really, but like grab. You know what I mean? So like a lot of people. Sorry, what?
It's such a fun title when like talking to readers about it. I'm like,
yeah,
like you can put drama behind it. And it's very satisfactory to say. So
yeah.
Okay, my next question. What scene or part of Send Me Their Souls brought you the most joy to write? I feel like with authors, we get to hear about the struggles and the pain so much. But what part of Send Me Their Souls brought you the most joy?
Oh, like, the like satisfaction or like ecstatic, like
Let's
joy?
go with ecstatic / happiness.
Okay. I think it was definitely when the battle scene, when they're all at the very end, there's a battle scene and everybody's coming together again. And I think at one point, Zara meets a character she's met before, and I can't spoil it. But anyway, she's met a character she's met before. I mean, I can spoil, right? Nobody. Okay, how about this? She meets a friend of hers that she is bonded to. There you go. And at when they're all gearing up for the battle, and they have a little discussion, and I think she says, I don't know what she says, but I love those two characters together. I love her and the bonded character because they.
Oh no, a freeze again. No, I'm just going to dramatically read the chat sections. And Tiffany will do our best to stay away from spoilers. No! You guys are just gonna type no into the chat, aren't you? So I just have to like dramatically say no a ridiculously long amount of times. I think she may move into the room with the router, as she said, since it went out again. But I will remember where she left off in the question. The bonded characters. We will not say more spoilers than that, but that seems to be the scene that brought her the most joy. And I have 2 more questions. I'll let you guys know what's going on. I've got 2 more questions for her. And then we're going to go into just like a super fun quick round where I have like and or questions. And then we're going to get into your questions to make sure we can get through as many of them as possible. I'm going to go ahead and take a peek. Oh, thank you guys for voting on the questions too. It's so awesome, like, to see which ones you guys are like most interested in. Also, my love. I love Luke, but I really love Malachi too. I love Mal. Someone said that Mal forever, and you know what? I very much heart that sentiment. He's just so awesome. Haha!
Hello. I'm sorry. The router's terrible.
I was talking about my love for Mal and letting people know what our itinerary is for the rest of the event.
I'm really sad that Mal did not get more screen time, but the book was already clocking in at 100K, and they're like, "Can you wrap this up?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess." Like,
it's still gonna be my ultimate fan fiction to put Al and Z. I can't help it. I know I asked you when like the first book came out. I was like, this relationship will live inside of my heart and my fanfic little world for forever because their snarky dialogue gave me so much life and happiness. I was like, oh, you can just sense the sparks between them when they're going with each other.
If like, I know that there's a couple different books with there's a couple different YA books with polygamy coming out. I think there's one by Ziran Zhao. I don't think I'm saying her name right, but it's giant robots in China with like the rise of an empress, and like hers is, I think, is polygamy. And someone was reading my book, and I remember they were like, "Is this a polygamy book? Is like are Malachi, Zara, and like Lucien all together?" And I was like, "Not that I know of." So,
in all of our fanfic hearts, they are though.
Oh, for sure. Damien, yes, it is called Iron Widow. Thank you. I think it's by her name is Ziran Zhao. I could be wrong, but it is called Iron Widow. So check it out, definitely. It's on my Goodreads to read list because I love anything giant robots. So
yeah, giant robots are kind of amazing with that.
They're kind of the best. Ziran Zhao. Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay. So I have 2 more quick questions that I'll ask you, and then we'll get into the fun round, which I just set up.
I mean, this has all been fun. I could talk forever about this with you. I love talking with you.
I would apologize to the audience because I love talking to Sarah, so you're getting to see me totally goober and slightly fangirl out, but you know what? I don't even care because I'm just sharing my love with you.
That's fair.
But,
That's fair.
Okay, so my next question is going to be about the cover art, which I know sometimes authors have and or do not have influence on. So the cover art, I feel like for the third book is a departure from the first two. It's really cool, but definitely has like a different feel to me. What was kind of the process for the switch on that?
So what happened was, I'm going to be like completely 100% honest, because this is something that has been on my mind as well. Like whenever something happens and readers get a different product than what or like a different book than what they wanted, it always affects me. And I always think about it a lot. So what happened was Corona, basically. The wonderful artist, Yumin Ying, I believe his name is, I will link to his portfolio later on my Twitter if you guys are curious to look at more of his work, because I always want to shout out the artists that work with me. He apparently we had a third cover all drafted up and it looked beautiful and it was colored, but the publisher Entangled wanted a more actiony pose, so they sent it back and he was working on it, and then in the middle of him working on it, Corona happened. And so they couldn't get a hold of him for, I think, 4 months. And so I was hoping they would have a backup plan in place where it was like, okay, we'll have another artist, do the cover in a similar style. And I was hoping that would be the case, especially if you don't hear from an artist for 4 months. Generally, what you want to do is sort of have a backup plan, like starting. But what happened instead was they emailed me and said that we're going to do the cover in-house instead. And I said, I don't really like that idea. And they said, I'm going to go ahead with that anyway. And I said, okay, you guys can go ahead with that anyway. What it really was, I loved working with Entangled, other than this cover thing. What it really was a lack of planning. And I think it's hard to plan for something like the quarantine and the coronavirus, you know what I mean? So I don't necessarily hold it entirely. Like I know that things happen and people work hard regardless. And so I felt bad because they promised me 3 covers that would look, they basically said, we'll give you 3 illustrated covers. And the first 2 were amazing. And I was so excited for the third one. And the third one, I still have it in my inbox. I just can't, like, the less actiony pose, So basically things happen. Quarantine happened. And you guys get a different cover because of it. And I'm really, really sorry. I hope you enjoy the covers that are there anyway, because they are kind of cool. But just know that I gave my all. I gave my 100% to write that book. And I hope it's what's inside that you love the most. So.
Oh my gosh, yes. What's inside the most is always the most important. I think the new cover, I know it's obviously a different art style, but I still like it.
Yeah,
I still think
it's cool. Cover. It's really cool. Yeah, it's really graphic. It reminds me more of a comic book cover. When I first saw it, I was like, that's a comic book cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind Bring Me Their Hearts being turned into a manga, to be honest. Oh my gosh. I'm a huge nerd. Can you imagine that? That would be so cool.
I would read that in a heartbeat.
Me too. On heartbeat. On heartbeat.
We need a GoFundMe page, everyone, to create a manga. That is our next mission.
That would be really cool.
Webs to create.
Yes.
Okay, and my last longer question for you is, I love your banter and dialogue, as I have told you.
Thank you.
But which is your favorite to write? Dialogue or action scenes?
Which do you think?
I mean, I think dialogue, but I don't ever want to assume, because I would say dialogue because it's so good.
If you read an author's work and you see something that really, really shines to you, it's probably what they like writing the most. This is a really bad example because he's kind of a racist douchebag, but J.R.R. Tolkien, everybody's read J.R.R. Tolkien, right? Lord of the Rings, he loves songs. He loves songs. He would rather make songs than write books, like 100%. And he loves songs and he loves banquets. You know what I mean? There's, like, if you read any of Poe's stuff, Edgar Allan Poe, also kind of a weird guy, he loves talking about blood. He just loves describing blood in a lot of different ways. For me, I try not to be a weird guy, but I really like writing dialogue. It's really fun, and it's kind of like me playing ping pong with myself in my head. I don't have many verbal sparring partners. I mean, I do. They're my friends, and they're great. But no one is better than me. No one is better than me at being annoying. You know what I mean? So
I like to think of it as witty banter.
Yes.
My glasses in a very
well. If you slow down annoying, if you make annoying really, really slow, it's kind of like witty banter. Like that's what books do. Like all of my annoying is stretched out, so it just seems witty. It's great. I love it a lot. I love dialogue. I don't like action scenes. If I have to write action scenes, I will write them through like a very experience perspective. So like touch, taste, smell, feel. I don't like to be like, he just took out his sword and then he sliced him in half. And I'm like, I don't care. When it comes down to action, what happens in real life when you're in a scenario where like action is happening around you and it's really fast, all you do is feel. All you do is smell. All you do is like see. You don't like describe it in your head like a movie. So that's what I try to do. So
that makes it feel a lot more like realistic and immersive too. So
cool.
Okay, I have quick fun questions for you, and then we'll get to the audience questions. So answer these as quickly as possible.
Oh God. Okay.
I will give you 2 options, and you must pick one, regardless of how challenging it is to pick. K-drama or J-drama?
K-drama, easy.
I figured. Malachite or Lucian?
Malachite. No, don't. Listen, I love oh God, do I have to choose?
I'm like, that's my total honest
I have to
answer.
choose between them?
You got to choose between your babies, and you already gave the honest response. No tipsy backseat.
Okay, yeah, it's Mal. It's Mal.
Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts?
Final Fantasy. Kingdom Hearts doesn't make any sense.
Oh, I love Kingdom Hearts.
It doesn't make any. It's like a fever dream. Have you ever read the plot synopsis on the Wikipedia? It doesn't make sense.
The plot synopsis would be, he's trying to rescue his love.
That's true.
That's all that matters.
Okay.
And the first one makes me cry.
Yeah, you take Kingdom Hearts, I'll take Final Fantasy.
Okay, Kingdom, as I said, Final Fantasy X though, like heartbreaking and beautiful.
Oh yeah.
But
Nine is my
British.
favorite.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Intriguing. Okay, Great British Bake Off or Iron Chef?
This is so hard. I would say Great British Bake Off with Prue.
Agreed. Okay.
Wait, not Prue. What's the lady's name? Sorry, Mary Berry.
Berry.
Yeah, Great British Bake Off with Mary Berry. That's it.
I agree. And the original 2 comedian female duo, I loved them.
They were
so
great.
much.
Yeah, wonderful.
So okay, red or white wine?
Red.
Okay. Vampire or werewolf?
Come on.
I know that one's so stereotypical.
Isn't it weird that Twilight is having this weird renaissance? Anyway,
it is so strange.
It's such a quarantine thing. I think I would have to go werewolf because living forever sounds like butt.
That sounds
Living
horrifying.
forever sounds like dookie doo-doo to me. Yeah.
I agree with that.
I would rather be a wolf and run around in the woods and like sniff things, you know what I mean, than like live forever.
And you'd never be cold because their body temperature is normally higher. And I normally am cold, so that sounds kind of glorious. But
well, by Twilight rules. Not all werewolves are like super like warm.
I can't go by Twilight rules. It breaks something inside of me. Okay. I like grew up in Laurel K. Hamilton, which is wildly inappropriate for the age I was reading it. But I loved them. And I'm like, vampires are supposed to be these horribly powerful, like sometimes nasty looking, sometimes really attractive, like species. So
yeah, I grew up with Anne Rice vampires, and that's also wildly inappropriate. So
it explains so much about us.
It does.
Anyway, coffee or tea?
Tea, hands down. Coffee's weird.
Big underground creature ears or pointy fey ears?
Big underground creature ears. What kind of question is that?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Some of these questions are just reaffirming awesome opinions that I had of you. Anyways, Big Bang or BTS?
Who is?
Do you not know Big Bang? It's an old K-pop band.
Did they have the guy with the blonde hair? The really blonde, like the white.
They had G-Dragon.
Yeah, that guy. I'm gonna have to say BTS because their outfits are better. Their outfits are better. I'm sorry. It's
true. This is true. Their fashion sense is better.
I remember the guy with the blonde hair was in Big Bang, and I remember seeing his outfit. I remember going, "That's Lady Gaga, dog." And I don't, as much as I respect Lady Gaga, like the fat, like it's not great.
What you're talking about too is her monster music video where it's very like futuristic, battle-y with explosions.
Yeah, that's the one. That was the one. God.
I hated the fashion in that one.
I mean, listen, we're old, so Big Bang was like the K-pop we had. But like now that I look at BTS, I'm like, you guys' fashion is so much better. I will live in the future if it means.
Like, so Big Bang wasn't even old for me. I go back older than that. I was like 7 and Rain. Those were like my OG.
Wait,
and like
Rain sounds familiar. Okay,
yeah.
We got to talk more about this for sure. Yeah.
But like my favorite is DBSK, but they are old school and surrounded by controversy. And I feel like a lot of people
we talked about this last time.
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Most people are not as aware of the old K-pop I listened to because that's when it made me a total nerd, and it didn't have a cool factor that it has now.
I remember Shiny, Damien. I remember Shiny.
The best dance. Lucifer is one of my favorites.
Okay, Ring Ding Dong slaps.
No!
That's all I have to say.
They're both so good. Ring Ding Dong.
Sorry.
Like, do.
Listen, if I had to say one, I was like maybe in my junior year of high school, and like Lucifer came out, and I was like, is this music or is this like trying to brainwash me? I remember like watching it over and over, like trying to figure out if it was brainwashing. And then I realized, no, they're just like very handsome men. And
oh no, we've frozen on K-pop. Did we talk about K-pop too long? Is the internet cursing us because these were supposed to be quick questions and we went on a K-pop tangent? I apologize. I jinxed us. These were supposed to be quick questions, and then I took on a rabbit hole of K-pop. Okay, so I will do the next question then.
Okay.
We need to talk about K-pop more.
We will. You and I will after this is over.
It's a K-pop question. Don't hate me, people.
I won't.
21 or Blackpink?
Oh, okay. 21. I remember that was the one with like the Illuminati in all of their music videos. Because they had like pyramids. You know what I'm talking about, though. Like there was pyramids in there and like snakes, and I loved it. It was great.
That's so true. I haven't thought about that.
I mean, you're asking me for nostalgia versus like you know what I mean? Nostalgia versus fashion that doesn't look like it was fished out of a dumpster in Venice, which is a great look. That's a great look, but it is full of LEDs and like plastic sandals, and I can't handle that in 2020. So I'm gonna have to say Blackpink, probably. Yeah.
The new generation, because they're both with YG. They're with the same.
They're both with YG, right? Yeah.
Like I feel like kind of was the replacement for 21 since they really only have one left.
Well,
like,
one of them speak English? Blackpink?
Yeah. So
is it Rose?
Rose doesn't actually speak English. Only one of them doesn't. Because I think only one of them is actually from Korea. One grew up in Australia. The other one I don't remember. And then Lisa is not from Korea. I don't remember. She's also on a random Chinese singing competition as a judge and a coach.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, talk about YouTube.
I'm learning so much. You know more about this than I do for sure.
People don't think I'm a nerd.
It's okay. We're all nerds.
So wrong. And then
Lisa is from Thailand. I don't know who Lisa is, but I believe you.
Yeah, she's their main dancer. You know how they always have a main dancer?
You know the short hair? The short, like usually she has short hair.
She always has the iconic short bang.
Yeah. Okay.
Short, but she's always got the straight bang. And she's like the only one.
Yes, Henry inspired Blackpink. Yes,
Love is good.
Yes,
I like
the only one I've heard. If you guys have recommendations for K-pop, drop them in there, and I'll listen to them after this.
Give us all the recommendations. I went on I have to stop myself. Okay.
Listen, it's quarantine. What else are we gonna do?
Yes, to rate
pieces.
Back old school. Sorry, someone just gave a shout out to.
Someone gave a shout out. Okay.
Another Passion by 7. Oh, you are people.
7? Did they really spell 7 with a 7 in it and expect people to think it's 7?
They did.
That's incredible. I love that. Love that. Love that optimism.
He was part of the same era as like Rain, and he was known as being like super dancey. Like I'm stopping myself.
Okay, you gotta. Yeah, if we're gonna be here all night, girl.
Okay, if you stop doing K-pop things, you guys are making me want to respond in the comments. No,
we should have our own show. We should have our own show where we talk about this. I'm dead serious.
Let us know in the comments if you want us to do a podcast of us rambling about K-pop.
If you want us to do a podcast where she teaches me about K-pop, put it down there.
My God, I would so be down for that.
I would do that.
Absolutely. Super dated, and I totally don't care. My next question is Sealy or Unsealy? Which court would you belong to?
Unsealy are the evil ones, right?
Yeah, they're normally more dark, but they're normally more interesting and less self-righteous.
Okay, and then the Sealy. So it's literally just good. It's like D&D, good versus evil. Like literally the good alignment versus the evil alignment.
Kind of. The authors I don't always break it down like that. Think of it more as like light powers, like sun, and those are like where their magical affinities.
Paladin versus like death necromancer.
Yeah.
Death knight. Okay. Probably Sealy because I don't want to get stabbed in the back.
Fair enough.
And I want to wear nice clothes.
Also fair.
You know? And I don't like edgelords. You know? Like edgelords stink. A lot.
I would totally be Unsealy. I'm like now rethinking my choice. I'm like, I wish to be a queen of dark. But now I'm like,
if you went to Hot Topic from the ages of 12 to like 18, you are belong in the Unsealy court. If you went into Hot Topic and then immediately walked out, you belong in the Sealy court, like me. Okay, yeah, raise your hand.
Guilty as charged. And then this is my last question, just to ask a funny one to tie it back into your book.
Yes.
Which would you rather live off of, hearts or souls?
Like eat? So I'm imagining like with hearts, you definitely have to eat the organ. And it's like a lot of blood and like viscera. And then souls, when you eat them, you probably see the person's entire life flash before you.
Ooh.
So one is kind of like psychically damaging and one is kind of gastrointestinally damaging. Probably hearts. I'm going to go with hearts. Like you can boil them, put them in a stew, make a nice sauce. Make a ragu. Souls, you can't dress them up any other way. That's just straight the person's life, you know?
You can't put barbecue sauce on it.
You can't put barbecue sauce on a soul. That's the name of our podcast. That's the name of our K-pop podcast. Boom.
Wait,
boom.
I need
boom,
to write this.
Boom. Okay, while she writes that down. Hello, Brazil.
Why is this about K-pop?
Truly. I've been bugging my publisher. Well, I'm going to bug my publisher to try and get you guys published in Brazil. Bring me their hearts. But I don't know if that will work. I know it's published in French. I'll try.
Fingers crossed. Okay, we're going to dive into your questions now, everyone. We'll try and go through these as quickly as possible. There are 25 amazingly awesome questions. We probably won't be able to get through all of them because I couldn't help but geek out about K-pop. Okay, first question we'll dive into. I already asked, so I'm not going to ask. I will because it's the most asked one, but we'll answer it very quickly. Okay. Do you have plans for more books or extras with Luke POV?
It depends on what the publisher wants to do. If they want me to have another book, yeah, then I might write a small novella, maybe.
Ooh, she just answered about the books to Brazil, so that is answered. I love this one. Are you currently working on a book/project which includes a badass/savage main character like Zara?
definitely I am working on a project right now with a badass character. She's not funny. She just wants to murder everyone. So yeah, kind of, but she's not funny about it. So if you're into that, yes, I am working on that one. It's not a fantasy, it's a sci-fi, and it's set in space on a space station, and she wants to murder people. It's great. I like her a lot.
Is this the one that you put like a teaser up on your Instagram?
On my Instagram.
It's such a good pair. Like, go to her Instagram account so you can read it. It's a good.
Thank you.
It feels for the badassery. Next question is Starving Wolf related to your own name? I really wanted to know what was the inspiration for this name.
That's actually really good. No, Wolf is not inspired by my name. The wolf was kind of something that I was thinking Sara always was, because she comes from a forest. So like at the beginning of the book, she's in a forest. She doesn't know much about the outside world, or she's forgotten it. So she kind of reminded me of like a scraggly kind of wolf that is hungry for her heart all the time. So it wasn't related to my name, but it was more of like how she appeared to me, kind of. Nice. She comes from a forest. She doesn't know much. She doesn't know about love, really. She just wants to eat, basically. She wants her heart, which is to eat, kind of, to live. She wants to live. Her whole thing is she wants to live. She's a starving wolf and she wants to live, and she has to find a way to make that happen. And yeah, that's why her name is Starving Wolf. So
I love too, especially like in the first book in particular, how you have her like human brain, for lack of, and her heartless brain having like inner dialogue with one another and kind of like fight over control. I love that so much.
Yeah, me too.
Which of your characters is most like you?
Definitely not Sara. Like maybe the old guy, like the old guy in the beginning of the third book, who's like drinking tea and like sitting in front of a fireplace. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, that's me. Yeah, the sage. That's me. I'm not the other ones. I'm not the cool ones. No way.
So you do have to banter now, because you are a banter mistress. So
that's yeah. I'll give me that. I'll give me that.
Okay. Let's see. This is a very generic. So pick which part you want to answer. But what was the world building process like? I know you're a pantser.
Yes.
So how, for a pantser perspective, was your world building process like?
I knew I kind of wanted to. Well, the only really world building thing I had going in was that I knew when you're world building a fantasy, what you have to figure out first is what kind of technology. So you're supposed to base your book in like a certain era of technology. So like medieval, steampunk, industrial. Is it post-industrial? Is it that sort of thing? All I knew is I wanted horse-drawn carriages, and that meant no engines, no electricity. That's all I knew going in, really. I knew that there were kings, so monarchies, right? Monarchies. And I knew there would be witches. And other than that, that's all I had going in. And it all sort of just spiraled and snowballed from Sara's journey. So, yeah.
I love how you do witches, too. I think there's a question later about that. So I'm not going to ask you one because I don't want to step on our lovely viewers' toes. But the witches are absolutely awesome.
Thank you. It's hard. Witches are hard. They've been done so many times. My favorite witches, personally, are from the Terry Pratchett, the Tiffany Aching series. Those witches are amazing. Yeah, those are my favorite witches of all time. They just sit in their houses helping people, like with their herb poultices and stuff, instead of like doing magic. Like the witches make sense in that world. Like witches those are my favorite. But anyway, Terry Pratchett, Tiffany Aching, read it, everybody. It's a really good series. Tiffany Aching is a lot like Sara. Now that I think about it.
That's gonna be like, the witches are cool, but the Sara motivation is definitely what's gonna get people to read it. Okay. Oh, this one is challenging. But I'm
Okay.
gonna ask, if you had to define each character, Zara, Lucian, Mal, Fiona, and Varia, in one word, what would it be?
Each character?
Mm-hmm.
Lucian is idealistic.
Mm.
He's a dreamer. Lucian's a dreamer. Zara's a little shit. I just swore on stream.
We gave ourselves permission to swear if it was appropriate. And
it is. We decided that we could only swear if it was really important. And let me tell you guys, this is super important. Zara equals a little shit. That's more than one word, but that's what I'm going to give her. Malachite is a knight, like a knight with a K. He is a traditional knight who serves his lord until the very end. Malachite's a knight. Fionn is Fionn is the definition of like quiet strength. Like quiet. I wanted, because Zara is so out there and so bold and so strong outwardly. I wanted someone who was strong inwardly. And I think out of all of them, Fionn has suffered maybe the most. Zara has definitely suffered, but I think Fionn, over the course of like her life and how it interacted with the de Malbains and how all of it, she suffered the most. So her, I guess the word that sums her up is willpower. And then Varia, I think Varia is the embodiment of good intentions. Like good intentions, the saying kind of good intentions pave the way to hell is definitely, it's not one word, but it's a sentence. So yeah.
It's a phrase that you have to say all at once, so we'll make it count.
Okay. It's just one word. It's just not a sentence. It's one word, one run-on word.
But the way the internet works, it would just be written as one word.
For sure.
So did you plan to write a trilogy when you started Bring Me Their Hearts, or was it supposed to be just a one book thing?
It was definitely a trilogy. I wanted to write a fantasy trilogy. I wanted to do that since I was 12, 13. This is a dream that has been 10 years, 10, 15 years in the making. So I finally got to write it, and I wanted to see if I could do it. I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it, and I wanted to see what it would look like in my hands, if that makes sense. Because a lot of people do it, but I was like, what would it look like for me? And that curiosity is kind of what made me want to do the trilogy. So
I'm very, very happy that you did it.
Thank you, everyone. They're saying I did good. Look, validation.
I do amazing.
Validation. Look. Validation.
If I say you did an awesome job more than like 20 times, will you stop believing me? But I'm just really excited, and that's just really how me and all the readers feel. So keep pouring the delicious validation. But okay, this one is, where did you get inspiration to create the Valkyrex? I think they are absolutely incredible. She has frozen, but she froze on a smile. Oh, I think we gave her too much validation. We froze her internet with all of the validation. She will be back shortly. Too much validation, Sarah. Too much. Too much.
What can I say? The people give and the people taketh away. You know?
The internet gods are watching. So I don't know if you got to hear it, but the next question was, where did you get inspiration?
I was answering it. I was in the middle of answering it, and then it froze. No. I'm really glad that you guys get to see my frozen face like every 20 minutes, every 10 minutes. Like just a really great, maybe I should just make a really nasty face next time. I'm just like, rah.
The last one
anyway,
was
that's true. That's true. The inspiration for the Valkyrex were dragons. I kind of wanted to make dragons. I really wanted to make dragons because it was a medieval, Bring Me Their Hearts is like medieval, basically. So I knew that dragons were on the table. I just didn't want to do, again, I didn't want to do dragons like everybody else does dragons. You know me. I don't want to be like anybody else, even though saying that feels really, really awkward. I wanted to make it, or try to make it, a little bit different. Not the same thing I had read and seen. So I was like, okay, well, we can make them furry. You know what I mean? Like we can make them huge. Like dragons are huge, but the Valkyrex are bigger than dragons. Like the Game of Thrones dragons, the Valkyrex are bigger than that. Like they're long and they're big. They're basically like nasty killer tube socks, you know? Like they're smelly and they're not beautiful. I mean, they're beautiful in some ways, but they're monsters, you know? I wanted to express a dragon that was also a monster. And because a lot of times I think when we read books about dragons, it's like, oh, their wings are so cool. And it was like copper and gold and green. And I'm like, nah, these things are just nasty underground worms. And you guys are going to have to deal with it. So, but I like them a lot. Yeah.
Fear the tube socks. That we put on like a shirt. Fear the flying tube socks.
Fear the flying tube socks.
Okay,
I also like that Sendoku. That's really my favorite part.
Let's see. If you had to choose a character to spend a weekend with, who would it be?
Just one? Can I not have all 4 of them? 5 of them?
No.
Probably Yorl. From the second book. If you haven't read the third book, he's in the third book. He's the Slan. He's the Slan polymath who like helps Varia, basically Zara and Varia free Evlorison in the second book. He is like a fixer. Like he knows everything. So I just like ask him to like do all of my stuff for me. I'd be like, hey, can you change that? Can you do this? And he'd be like, yeah, I can, and I will enjoy doing that. So
that makes more sense than it'd be like having a handyman all the time. Because I was like, it's got to be Mal. I was just thinking of like the main. Like,
Mal would annoy the shit out. Sorry, Mal would annoy the crap out of me. I would trash can him. I'd dumpster him. I'd be like, get out of my house. What you're so annoying. You won't shut up. And you got a giant sword. Where are you gonna put that sword? You can't fit it in my house.
But you could spar verbally with him and it would be the most amazing thing ever.
No, I would kick his butt. I would kick his butt and then he'd be like, you're really mean. I'm going home. And I'd be like, yeah, go. You guys can have Mal. You guys can have Mal. I know everything Mal's going to say. I know everything he's going to do. It wouldn't be fun. It would be like, yeah. So I love that. But
that is a fair point. There is someone who asked, can you give us some clues about your next book? I just want to acknowledge that I'm asking this, but she did already talk about her sci-fi book with her awesome character of not humor, but just pure badass coming out.
I can give you another hint.
Oh, yes.
It's got giant robots.
So giant robots and badassery.
Giant robots. It's basically a murder. My new main character is basically a murder baby who rides a giant robot. And it's so cool. It's so cool. She's so cool, but she's so like remember emo?
Yes.
She's like emo, but she's so cool though. She's really great.
Good song playing in the background.
Yes. Good Charlotte, Blink 182. Like all of it. It's really good. But you know what's fun? Wait, you know what's fun about that book? Hold on. Sorry, I'm really excited about that book. So whenever I have like a jerk character, I like to pair them with like a Heart of Gold character. So like for Sarah, she was kind of like the Heart of Gold, and like Lucian is also Heart of Gold, but he kind of like hides it. He's more like reserved. So in all of my books, I try to make one of the main characters like fire, and then one of the main characters like ice. And so in this one, it's really the new book I have with the giant robots. It's really cool because for once, it's not the guy who's the cool one. The guy is like the sweet cinnamon roll who's like wants to do everything. And then the main character girl is like, I will kill you. Don't come near me. I will murder you. It's so good. It's such a good dynamic. I love it.
All of the chef's kisses. Who doesn't love a gooey cinnamon roll?
True. Very true. They're hard to make though. Cinnamon rolls are really hard to make. Not writing wise, but like actual food wise.
I've never attempted because it wouldn't go well.
No. I mean, not for me. It doesn't go well for anyone. Anyway, next question.
How do you feel knowing that your books are being acknowledged worldwide?
Guys, you're going to make me cry.
You cry.
When I was 12, I wrote a fan fiction that was 1 million words long. And when I got to my senior year of high school, I said to myself, okay, I wasn't in any clubs. I was bad at math. I was failing a lot of classes. Like, don't be like me, stay in school and study. And so I asked myself, if I graduate, what happens then? Like, what do I do? Like, what have I done with my life up till now that I liked enough to do forever? And the answer was to keep writing. The only thing I can think of that was something that I really loved was writing. And I have worked since I was 19, so like 11 years, 9 years. I worked my butt off, and for a long time, no one read my stuff. And to have people reading it now is everything I've ever wanted. And if it helps you guys in some way, if it gets you through the day, if it makes you forget how crappy the world outside is, even for like a little minute, I've done what I set out to do. And thank you guys so much for including me in your lives in that way.
So. I think from me, as well as all of the readers, I can say that your books truly are like friends when you read them. And not a lot of books can do that, but your books, like, I always remember your characters, and I always remember what happens in the stories. And I feel like for myself, as well as for so many of us who read so much, that very much says something about a book and the writer and the characters and the fact that they can touch you in that kind of way. So
yay!
That gift. Thank you very much for that gift.
You.
So, now that we're all emotional, I think that is a beautiful. Yes, we have made you cry. Join us in the tears of happiness. So, I think that is the last and most beautiful question to end on. I know that there were some more, but we didn't get to all of them, but we got some really awesome ones in there. So I don't want to end the event, but I do.
I see. Same. I don't want to go. I could talk about K-pop and like fictional characters kissing until I die, to be honest. If that's all I do for the rest of my life, that's a pretty good, I would say that's a life spent well. Hi, Brazil.
I would have to wholeheartedly agree with you on that. But I don't want to say goodbye, but I have to.
Okay.
I don't want to. I could talk forever, but I'm sorry, everyone. We do have to end the event. It breaks my heart.
Thank you guys for showing up. I'm used to having maybe 2 people, 3 people, 4 people come to my book releases, and that was back when I was in San Diego at Mysterious Galaxy. So to see this many people here, that's wild. You guys are incredible. Thank you for spending your time on me. I hope I made you laugh at least a little. I hope that you dream pleasant dreams about your favorite Malachite. Let's be real, Malachite, or Lucian. One of the two. I hope that when life gets tough, you remember Zara and you do your best to do what's right for you, just like she did. Even if it's hard, you got to do what's right for you. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Constance, for having me. I'm sorry about the internet. It's so poo-poo doo-doo. But I hope the freeze frames are at least like meme worthy. I hope I go viral tomorrow where it's just like my face like, oh.
So we might have to cheat this, but guys, you can replay the video and pause it.
No, don't. Don't stop.
But this honestly is beyond such a treat for me, getting to talk to you and just.
It was so nice talking to you too.
We need to talk about.
Yes,
things.
Let's make a podcast. Let's do it. You teach me about all the K-pop, and I will learn eagerly.
Fluffing, yes. I got to use fluffing. I got to censor myself to fluff. That was my goal. But Oh my gosh, can you tell I'm trying to stall having to end? But okay, wait. I am a professional. I can do this.
You can do this, I believe.
Thank you so much to
Thank you
all
guys.
living readers. Sarah, beyond thank you for joining us. This was my hardest happiness.
Pretend this is a heart.
Wait, if we line up in the center.
Oh God, oh God, oh God.
You can do it, I believe.
Is that the right way?
Other way. Yes. With our combined powers. And on that note, we love you guys so much.
Bye.
Go read this ridiculously amazing trilogy.
Thank you.
And
I hope you guys enjoy it.
It's so good. Goodbye, everyone. We love you.
Bye, everyone.